Death, the one certainty we all share, the final mystery that awaits every living being. Tonight, we're diving into the darkest corners of mortality, exploring 100 unsettling truths about the end of life. From the grotesque realities of decomposition to the chilling historical practices surrounding death, these facts will change the way you think about our inevitable fate. So dim the lights, settle in, and prepare yourself. This is 100 Dark Facts About Death. Fact 1. Self-digestion. Within minutes of death, your body begins the process of self-digestion. Enzymes that once helped you digest food start breaking down your own cells from the inside out. Fact 2. Walking with killers. The average person will walk past approximately 36 murderers in their lifetime, completely unaware of the darkness that walks beside them. Fact 3. Safety coffins. In medieval Europe, bells were attached to coffins with a string leading above ground. This wasn't superstition. It was because being buried alive was common enough to warrant the precaution. Fact 4. The last sense. Your sense of hearing is the last to go when you're dying. Even when you appear unconscious, you may still hear everything happening around you. Fact 5. Conscious decapitation. The human head remains conscious for approximately 15 to 20 seconds after decapitation, meaning guillotine victims likely witnessed their own execution. Fact 6. Death grip. Cadaveric spasm can cause a dying person to grip an object so tightly that it becomes impossible to remove from their hand, even after death. Murder victims have been found clutching their killer's hair or clothing. Fact 7. Mundane dangers. More people die from falling out of bed each year than from shark attacks. Death doesn't always come from the dangers we fear most. Fact 8. The pancreas paradox. Within 3 days of death, the enzymes that once digested your food begin to digest your body. Your pancreas, ironically, starts to eat itself first. Fact 9. Romanticizing death. In the early 1900s, tuberculosis was so romanticized that dying from it was considered fashionable. The pale, thin aesthetic of TB victims became a beauty standard. Fact 10. The smell of death. Your body produces a specific compound called putrescine when cells die. Humans can unconsciously detect this smell and respond to it as a warning signal of danger, even in tiny, undetectable amounts. The reality of death is far more complex than we imagine. As we continue deeper into this collection, the line between the clinical and the disturbing begins to blur. Fact 11. Corpse wax. Under certain conditions, a dead body can turn into a soap-like substance called adipose cere or corpse wax. This waxy material can preserve bodies for decades, even centuries. Fact 12. The death rattle. The distinctive gurgling sound some people make as they die, called a death rattle, is caused by saliva pooling in the throat. The dying person can't feel it, but those listening never forget it. Fact 13. Post-mortem births. In rare cases, pregnant women who die can spontaneously give birth hours or even days after death as gases build up in the abdomen and expel the fetus. This phenomenon is called coffin birth. Fact 14. Livor mortis. After death, blood settles to the lowest parts of the body, creating dark purple patches. Forensic investigators use these patterns to determine if a body has been moved after death. Fact 15. The exploding casket. Bodies naturally produce gas during decomposition. In sealed caskets, this gas has nowhere to go, occasionally causing caskets to explode in mausoleums and funeral homes. Fact 16. Shishu. The Japanese have a specific word for the smell of a decomposing corpse. The odor is so distinctive and traumatizing that it has its own vocabulary in their language. Fact 17. Sky burials. In Tibet, bodies are sometimes taken to mountaintops, chopped into pieces and left for vultures to consume. It's considered a final act of generosity, feeding life with death. Fact 18. The agonal phase. The moments before death often involve a brief surge of energy called terminal lucidity. Dying patients suddenly become alert and communicative before passing, giving families false hope. Fact 19. Burial depth laws. Bodies must legally be buried at least 3 feet deep, not for dignity, but because that's the minimum depth needed to prevent animals from smelling and digging up decomposing remains. Fact 20. Rigor mortis timeline. Rigor mortis begins in the eyelids and jaw about 2 to 4 hours after death, then spreads throughout the body. It disappears in the same order it appeared, typically after 36 hours. The more we learn about death, the more unsettling it becomes. These next facts venture into the historical darkness of how humanity has dealt with the dead. Fact 21. Victorian death photos. In the Victorian era, families would pose with their dead relatives for photographs, often propping up corpses to look alive. These post-mortem photographs were sometimes the only pictures families had of their loved ones. Fact 22. The Bone Church. The Sedlec ossuary in the Czech Republic is decorated with the bones of over 40,000 people. Chandeliers, coats of arms, and even a bone signature of the artist are made entirely from human remains. Fact 23. Premature burial prevalence. In the 1800s, the fear of being buried alive was so common that special safety coffins with breathing tubes, bells, and escape hatches were patented and sold commercially. Fact 24. Body farms. Forensic research facilities leave donated bodies outside to decompose naturally so scientists can study the process. Dozens of corpses are scattered across these fields in various stages of decay at any given time. Fact 25. The drowning reflex. When drowning, victims rarely cry for help. They're too busy struggling to breathe, making drowning one of the quietest ways to die. People have drowned in crowded pools while others swam nearby unaware. Fact 26. Coffin birth details. After death, abdominal gases can build so intensely that they expel a fetus from a deceased pregnant woman's body. Medieval gravediggers discovered this phenomenon regularly. Fact 27. The last meal. Your last meal remains partially undigested in your stomach and intestines after death. Forensic pathologists can determine what you ate and when, providing crucial evidence in murder investigations. Fact 28. Mass grave mathematics. Throughout history, more humans have been buried in mass graves than individual ones. Plague pits, war graves, and genocide sites outnumber traditional burials by millions. Fact 29. The corpse bride tradition. In ancient China, ghost marriages were performed where living people married corpses to ensure the dead wouldn't be lonely in the afterlife. This practice led to grave robbing for female corpses. Fact 30. Algor mortis. A body cools at approximately 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour after death. Forensic investigators use this temperature drop to estimate time of death, though many factors can affect the cooling rate. We're nearly a third of the way through, and the darkness only deepens. These next revelations explore the bizarre and macabre ways death manifests in our world. Fact 31. The vein of death. There's a vein in your hand that ancient Romans believed led directly to the heart. They called it the vena amoris, but severing it causes rapid death from blood loss. Fact 32. Decomposition islands. When whales die and sink to the ocean floor, their massive bodies create entire ecosystems that can last for decades. These whale falls, support unique creatures that exist nowhere else on Earth. Fact 33. The death mask industry, creating plaster casts of dead people's faces, was once a thriving industry. Famous death masks include those of Napoleon, Beethoven, and unknown bodies like Elinkanu de la Seine. Fact 34. Spontaneous human combustion. There are documented cases of people burning to death from the inside out with no external fire source. The phenomenon remains unexplained, with bodies reduced to ash while surroundings remain untouched. Fact 35. The thanatology profession. There are scientists who study death for a living. Thanatologists examine everything from the dying process to grief, making careers out of humanity's darkest subject. Fact 36. Decomposition timing. A body left in open air will decompose twice as fast as one buried in earth, and 8 times faster than one submerged in water. Temperature dramatically affects these rates. Fact 37. The triangle of death. There's an area on your face from the corners of your mouth to the bridge of your nose where infections can spread directly to your brain. Popping pimples here can literally kill you. Fact 38. Bog bodies. Peat bogs naturally mummify bodies, preserving them for thousands of years. Some bog bodies are so well preserved that their last meals, facial expressions, and even fingerprints remain intact. Fact 39. The danger of vending machines. More people die from vending machine accidents each year than from shark attacks. Death by snack machine is statistically more likely than death by predator. Fact 40. Near-death consistency. People who have near-death experiences across different cultures report remarkably similar phenomena: tunnels, bright lights, deceased relatives, and feelings of peace. No one knows why these experiences are so universal. You're approaching the halfway point now, and the weight of mortality grows heavier. These next facts delve into the psychological and physical horrors that surround death. Fact 41. The staircase of death. Falling down stairs kills approximately 12,000 people per year in the United States alone. The most dangerous place in your home might be the steps you climb every day. Fact 42. Forensic entomology. Investigators use the life cycles of maggots and insects feeding on corpses to determine time of death. Certain species arrive in predictable waves, creating a disturbing but accurate death timeline. Fact 43. The crocodile's death roll. When a crocodile kills large prey, it spins rapidly underwater to tear off chunks of flesh. Victims often drown first, then are torn apart and stored underwater until the meat ripens enough to eat. Fact 44. Cotard's delusion. This rare mental condition makes people believe they're already dead. Sufferers insist their organs are rotting, that they smell of decay, and some even request to be taken to a morgue. Fact 45. The death positivity movement. There's a growing movement encouraging people to openly discuss and plan for death. Death cafes, where strangers gather to talk about mortality over tea, are spreading worldwide. Fact 46. Autoerotic asphyxiation deaths. Between 250 to 1,000 people die each year from accidental self-strangulation during sexual activity. Many deaths are misclassified as suicides to spare families embarrassment. Fact 47. The cholera rapid death. Cholera can kill within hours. Victims lose so much fluid through diarrhea and vomiting that their eyes sink into their skulls, their skin turns blue-gray, and they die from severe dehydration. Fact 48. Execution witnesses. People who witness executions often report that the condemned person's eyes follow them as they die. This is likely due to random muscle movements, but witnesses find it deeply disturbing. Fact 49. The danger of coconuts. Falling coconuts kill approximately 150 people worldwide each year. You're more likely to die from a coconut than from a shark, bear, or snake attack. Fact 50. The Death Positive Library. The Order of the Good Death maintains a library of death-related artifacts, funeral practices, and mortality art from around the world, celebrating death as a natural part of life. You're about halfway through this journey into darkness. The facts ahead explore the strange intersection of death, science, and human nature. Fact 51. The Lazarus Phenomenon. After being declared dead, some people spontaneously come back to life minutes or even hours later. This autoresuscitation is rare but documented, named after the biblical figure Lazarus. Fact 52. The body farm smell. People living near body farms, forensic research facilities where corpses decompose outdoors, report that the smell of dozens of rotting human bodies is unlike anything else, and it never fully leaves your memory. Fact 53. Locked-in syndrome. Some stroke victims become completely paralyzed but remain fully conscious, unable to move or communicate while trapped inside their own body. Some remain locked in for decades before death. Fact 54. The plague doctor's beak. Plague doctors wore beaked masks filled with herbs, believing it would protect them from disease. The beak shape actually worked by keeping them away from infected breath, though they didn't understand why. Fact 55. Radiation death timeline. Extreme radiation exposure doesn't kill instantly. Victims experience a walking ghost phase, where they feel fine for days before their cells stop dividing and they die horribly over weeks. Fact 56. The death erection. Men who die by hanging or execution sometimes experience a post-mortem erection and ejaculation due to pressure on the cerebellum. It's called a death erection or terminal erection. Fact 57. The killing stone. In Japan, the Sessho-seki is a volcanic rock that continuously releases poisonous gases. Legend says it contains an evil spirit, but in reality, it's killed countless animals and people who got too close. Fact 58. Finger of death. In Antarctic waters, brine icicles called brinicles sink to the ocean floor, freezing and killing everything they touch. Underwater cameras have captured these frozen fingers of death in action. Fact 59. The suicide forest sound. Aokigahara Forest in Japan is so dense that sound is muffled to eerie silence. This acoustic deadness contributes to its reputation as one of the world's most popular suicide locations. Fact 60. The death certificate error. Approximately 40,000 death certificates in the United States each year list the wrong cause of death. The true number of deaths from certain causes may be vastly underreported. You're past the halfway mark now, descending deeper into the abyss. These next facts reveal some of the most disturbing truths about death that most people never want to know. Fact 61. The smell of fear before death. Humans release a specific chemical signature when experiencing mortal terror. Other humans can unconsciously detect this fear smell, and it triggers our own anxiety responses. Fact 62. The death chill. In the final hours before death, a person's extremities become ice cold as blood retreats to vital organs in a last desperate attempt to preserve life. Family members often remember the coldness of their loved one's hands. Fact 63. Medieval torture duration. Medieval executioners were skilled at keeping victims alive during torture for days or even weeks. The goal was maximum suffering, and they treated it as a precise craft. Fact 64. The Donner Party's choice. When snowbound pioneers of the Donner Party resorted to cannibalism, they had to make choices about who to eat first. Family journals reveal the psychological horror of these decisions. Fact 65. Brain activity after death. Brain cells can remain active for several minutes after the heart stops. Some scientists believe you might be aware that you've died, trapped in a dead body before consciousness finally fades. Fact 66. The rat king phenomenon. Sometimes dozens of rats become tangled together by their tails in a writhing mass called a rat king. Trapped rats die slowly of starvation and stress, while bound to the corpses of their companions. Fact 67. Rabies hydrophobia. In late-stage rabies, victims become terrified of water despite dying of thirst. Their throat muscles spasm violently at the sight of liquids, making drinking impossible even as dehydration kills them. Fact 68. The execution error rate. Throughout history, approximately 4% of people executed were likely innocent. In the US alone, this translates to dozens of innocent people put to death in recent decades. Fact 69. Coffin birth frequency. During the Black Death, coffin births were common enough that gravediggers developed procedures for dealing with them. Pregnant women were sometimes buried in larger coffins in anticipation. Fact 70. The scavenger's hierarchy. When a human body decomposes outdoors, there's a strict order of scavengers. Flies arrive within minutes, beetles within days, and larger animals only after significant decomposition. Each species has its preferred stage of decay. You're about an hour in now, and there's no turning back. The darkness ahead reveals the cruel randomness of mortality and the fragility of human life. Fact 71. The fatal familial insomnia. This rare genetic disease makes sleep physically impossible. Victims slowly lose the ability to sleep at all, suffering hallucinations and dementia before dying from exhaustion, usually within 18 months of symptoms appearing. Fact 72. The drowning process duration. Drowning doesn't happen in seconds like movies suggest. The full process of drowning to death takes between 2 to 3 agonizing minutes of conscious struggle and panic before unconsciousness. Fact 73. The flesh-eating disease speed. Necrotizing fasciitis can destroy tissue at a rate of several inches per hour. Victims have watched their skin turn black and die before their eyes as the infection raced across their body. Fact 74. The death tax records. Governments kept detailed records of plague deaths. In London's Great Plague of 1665, bills of mortality listed causes like frighted, grief, and planet, alongside thousands of plague deaths each week. Fact 75. The suspended animation debate. Some executed criminals in medieval times were hanged until unconscious, then revived and hanged again repeatedly. Doctors debated whether this counted as multiple deaths or one prolonged dying. Fact 76. The mortuary makeup industry. Morticians use industrial-strength cosmetics to make corpses look alive. The products include wound filler, tissue builder, and specialized paints to cover the green and purple discoloration of decay. Fact 77. The hair and nail myth explained. Hair and nails don't actually grow after death. Instead, the skin dehydrates and shrinks back, making them appear longer. This illusion has fueled vampire legends for centuries. Fact 78. The preserved brain phenomenon. Under certain burial conditions, brains can survive as recognizable organs for thousands of years while the rest of the body decays. Archaeologists regularly find ancient skulls containing brown, shrunken brains. Fact 79. The altitude death zone. Above 26,000 feet on mountains like Everest, the human body actively dies with every breath. Over 200 corpses remain frozen on Everest slopes, used as landmarks by climbers stepping over them. Fact 80. The sudden infant death mystery. Despite decades of research, scientists still don't fully understand what causes SIDS. Healthy babies simply stop breathing in their sleep, and in many cases, no cause is ever found. We're approaching the final stretch. These last facts explore the most unsettling truths about how death touches every aspect of existence. Fact 81. The crucifixion death method. Death by crucifixion took days and came from suffocation, not blood loss. Victims had to push up on their nailed feet to breathe, eventually becoming too exhausted to continue, slowly suffocating. Fact 82. The paralysis tick horror. A single tick bite can cause complete paralysis within days. Victims remain fully conscious as their body stops responding, and if the tick isn't found and removed, they suffocate to death while aware. Fact 83. The poison garden warning. The Alnwick poison garden in England grows over 100 species of deadly plants behind locked gates. Visitors sometimes faint from inhaling toxic fumes, and gardeners wear protective gear to avoid accidental death. Fact 84. The funeral industry inflation. The average funeral costs more than $10,000 in the United States. The industry profits billions from grief, with casket markups sometimes exceeding 300% of wholesale cost. Fact 85. The dancing plague deaths. In 1518 Strasbourg, hundreds of people danced uncontrollably for days until they collapsed from exhaustion, strokes, and heart attacks. Some danced themselves literally to death, and the cause remains unknown. Fact 86. The buried alive indicators. When exhuming old graves, workers sometimes find scratch marks inside coffin lids, bodies turned over, or wooden splinters under fingernails, evidence of people who woke up buried alive and died trying to escape. Fact 87. The starvation timeline. The human body can survive without food for approximately 30 to 40 days, but the process is agonizing. After the first week, the body begins consuming its own muscle tissue, including the heart. Fact 88. The tsunami corpse problem. After the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, so many bodies were never recovered that scientists estimate thousands of corpses still rest on the ocean floor, creating underwater grave sites spanning hundreds of miles. Fact 89. The mortuary cold storage. Bodies in funeral homes are kept at 36-40 degrees F to slow decomposition. Morgue workers report that even at these temperatures, bodies continue to shift, moan, and release gases as decomposition slowly continues. Fact 90. The elephant graveyard reality. Elephants do seek out specific places to die, traveling to areas with soft soil where their weakened bodies can rest. These graveyards become scattered with bones from generations of elephants who knew death was near. We've reached the end of our journey through mortality's darkest corners. These final 10 facts remind us that death, in all its forms, remains the one certainty we cannot escape. Fact 91. The decomposition island effect. When large numbers of bodies decompose in one location, the soil becomes so saturated with human remains that nothing will grow there for years. Mass grave sites remain barren long after the bodies are gone. Fact 92. The consciousness fade question. No one knows what the final moment of consciousness feels like before death. It's the one universal human experience that can never be accurately described by those who have been through it. Fact 93. The mummification accident. Some bodies naturally mummify in dry, stable environments. Families have discovered perfectly preserved corpses of relatives in attics or sealed rooms decades after death, looking eerily lifelike. Fact 94. The guillotine efficiency. The The guillotine was designed to be humane, and it was terrifyingly efficient. The blade fell at 21 feet per second, and death was nearly instantaneous. But those 15-20 seconds of consciousness after decapitation were not part of the plan. Fact 95. The quicksand death reality. You can't actually sink completely in quicksand. Your body is less dense. But people die in it because they become stuck and either drown when the tide comes in or die from exposure waiting for rescue. Fact 96. The cremation temperature. Modern crematoriums burn bodies at 400-800 degrees F for 2-3 hours. The heat is so intense that any metal in the body, dental fillings, surgical pins, jewelry, melts and must be removed from the ashes. Fact 97. The dead body pose. The position a body is found in can reveal how someone died. Burn victims often assume a pugilistic attitude, a boxer's pose, because extreme heat causes muscles to contract, pulling limbs into fighting position. Fact 98. The mushroom burial suit. There are now burial suits woven with mushroom spores designed to speed up decomposition and neutralize toxins in the body. The mushrooms literally consume your corpse, turning death into compost. Fact 99. The last sense debate. While hearing is thought to be the last sense to fade, some hospice workers believe awareness persists even beyond that. They report signs of consciousness in people long after they should have lost all sensory perception. Fact 100. The death certainty. Every single human being who has ever lived has either died or will die. As you finish reading this, approximately 100 people around the world have just taken their final breath. Death is happening right now, and it never stops. And there you have it. 100 dark facts about death. From the biological realities of decomposition to the historical horrors of how humanity has handled mortality, we've explored the shadows that await us all. Death is uncomfortable, terrifying, and inevitable. But perhaps understanding these dark truths helps us appreciate the fragile, fleeting nature of life. Thank you for joining me on this journey into darkness. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, every moment you're alive is a moment you've cheated death.